Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's girlfriend stranded in another city? Last week, I got a call from a friend asking me to drive her girlfriend into a major city in my country. He asked me because he knows I enjoy driving and I don't get nervous in packed traffic. Plus, the girlfriend barely drives and hates going into the city as there are lots of restricted streets and such. I told my friend my plan was reading a book that weekend, so he insisted a bit further, saying I was doing him a huge favor since he was out for the weekend, and that girlfriend would put her car so I didn't have to put unnecessary KMs on mine. After telling him I was just doing it because he asked and that I had nothing to do inside the city, I finally agreed. Cue Saturday. I go pick girlfriend early in the morning. We grab her car, and I see it has only half a tank of gas, enough to get us there but not for a round trip. She acknowledges it and tells me we'll fill it up in the city, whatever. During the 3-hour trip, she kept complaining I was going too slow and that she was going to miss an important appointment. I was going the speed limit the whole time. Once we got to the city, we parked in a repay and asked me to pay since she didn't bring any cash. Whatever. I wanted to go to a park and read while she was busy, but I had to run errands with her because she didn't feel safe in the city center on a sunny day. Whatever. She even got mad because I asked her to make a quick trip to the car to leave some bags because I didn't want to carry them, and told me her boyfriend always carried some of the bags, and it was faster. I started to get annoyed here and told her so. Once she got done with all she had to do, we went back to the car. But before I got in, she mentioned I still hadn't given her the money. When I asked her what she meant, she said I had to pay for half the tank as I had gone with her. I got mad and said I was doing my friend a favor, and I wasted my day just for her to buy random stuffs, and I wasn't paying. She said something like, either pay or you don't get in the car. I stormed off, tired and angry, while she shouted something like, yeah, you'll come back. I didn't. Got a train ticket and spent some 4.5 hours to get back home while my phone was blowing up with calls and messages. I turned it off. Got home and the next day, a friend called asking what happened. Apparently some poor soul had to go pick her up because she wasn't driving home. I told him, and he said that girlfriend can be difficult at times, but I pulled a massive a-hole move leaving her alone at sundown. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't leave her stranded. She had her car. She doesn't get to treat you like her personal assistant. And you were doing her a favor, and she was ungrateful from the start. The boyfriend always does it comment was ridiculous. I'm sorry you wasted your day with a spoiled person, but congratulations on most likely being the first person in her life not to submit to her demands. Best word in this comment. Spoiled. The girlfriend sounds horrible. I can understand what the friend probably gets out of the relationship, but OP is getting nothing out of it other than mistreatment. This goes without saying. Never help her again. They are both huge a-holes. Not an a-hole. They owe you a big apology. My friend actually have apologized, saying girlfriend was difficult at times, and he didn't do anything to me. I'm just not gonna do a favor for him anymore though. That's not an apology. Sorry is an apology. All your friend did was acknowledge that he was a crappy person as his partner. Take this as a lesson learned. Don't do any favors for this friend or his partner again. Yep, learned it the hard way. Maybe I'll speak to him after a couple days. It would be a shame to lose a lifelong friendship over it, but I'll expect an apology at least from him. Her, if you're not paying, you're not getting the car. You, okay, I'm not getting the car. See you later. Her, surprised Pikachu. Let's be very clear on this. You absolutely did not leave her stranded. You left her with her own car. Not to mention, where's half the money from her for parking if that's how she wants to play? You don't get to charge someone for gas who is driving you around as a favor. She sounds like a spoiled brat in nearly every line of this post. Not the a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for having flavored sparkling water at my teenage daughter's birthday party? Another mom accused me of trying to give her daughter an eating disorder. My daughter's birthday party was on Saturday morning. She's 13 years old. We just hosted it in our backyard. For food, we ordered pizzas, wings, garlic bread, tortilla chips, guacamole, salsa, pasta salad, and burgers. When it came to drinks, we had water, sparkling water, lemonade. So we have the birthday party. Everything is going well. One of the moms, call her Lacey, comes to pick up her daughter. Then she finds her drinking a LaCroix. She tells her daughter to toss the drink. Then she comes up to me and is like, "Why are you offering diet products to my children?" I'm like, "It's just sparkling water." She then flips out saying that her daughter does not need artificial soda replacement. She goes on to say that if I want to give my children eating disorders, I can do that, but not for her children. I was taken aback and just how aggressive she was, and I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. I was like, "Look, I have pizza, wings, and brownies. This is not a diet party at all." She then tells me I have no right to judge what is a diet product or not. She and her daughter both left. Also, she later posted on Facebook, I'm not friends with her, that some people are trying to push diet products onto children that aren't even theirs. For what it's worth, if my children wanted soda, I'm cool with them having it in moderation, but none of my children do. And it was just really odd for me too. Like, I have never heard of anyone say that flavored sparkling water is an artificial replacement for soda. Also, I didn't say anything to her, but it was extra odd because both her and her daughter were obese. So it's just extra odd they are accusing me of trying to give them eating disorders. Not a-hole at all. Seems to me like she was self-conscious of her own issues and decided to attack you for it. I think it was clever you had sparkling water. You also had other options for drinks. It's not as though you forced her child to drink sparkling water. I appreciate it when water is also available at parties. I can't quite quench my thirst with sweet drinks. I also like water as an option, though I have no problem drinking sweet drinks. Water and tea are almost always available. Don't let this eat at you too much. Not a-hole. That lady has serious issues. Sounds like she's already got an eating disorder and is passing it onto her child. Also, the idea of diet water is really funny to me. Like, the default is Mountain Dew, and water is diet hydration. Not a-hole for offering sparkling water. The young lady had a choice, that's what she chose. Personal informed choice is a protective factor against eating disorders. I think Mama is defensive about her size. You might be the a-hole for getting us all salivating over the party menu. Not a-hole. What the hell is an artificial replacement for soda? Soda is not a natural product. There are no soda trees or natural Coke springs. That would be like calling Dr. Pepper an artificial substitute for Coke. What a nut job. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend to leave over my weird obsession and to never come back again? I've been thinking about posting this for a while, but I've held off. Around 2 weeks ago, I invited a few friends over to my house to chill and hang out. Now, in my friend group, a lot of them think that I'm weird because I collect things. But for me, it's an investment. I have a specific room where I have tons of old video games, dolls, baseball/football cards, and antiques that easily total over 100,000. And since prices keep rising, I keep collecting things I know will be valuable later on. I have this really cherished antique that I, in all my trading, both buying and selling, have never even considered anything to do with it. An incredibly old Springfield 1861 musket, bayonet included. It was passed down from generations ago and I still have it. One of my friends asked me what valuable junk I have, and I decided to turn up my ego and told him that I had a genuine 1861 Springfield rifle. None of them believed me, so I told them that I would go up, take a picture, and bring it back down. The guy who asked said that wasn't enough, and that it could have been faked, and then thought it was his personal right to practically run to my room without my permission. We all practically chased after him to stop him, and right as he entered the room, he tripped over a bunch of baseball cards and smashed 3 pots that totaled around $6,000. I told him to leave immediately, and that I didn't want to talk to him again, and that I was going to press charges. I still hold it against my friend for getting into the place when I told him no. A lot of other friends are saying that I was way too harsh with it, that it was an accident. I then told them that it was his fault for entering when I specifically told him not to, and that those items were worth a lot to me. Sentimentally as well, since I'd had them for over 10 years. They've been telling me I need to stop the legal action. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. He entered your private property without permission and destroyed $6,000 worth of property. I would say if he doesn't pay it of his own accord, there's nothing wrong with legal action. $6,000 is a lot of money to be out because someone completely disrespected your wishes and space. But you're gonna have to prove that what he destroyed was actually worth that amount. Might be tough. Luckily, I have cameras and broken pieces, so hopefully I can prove that. That's a good start. But you'll probably have to get a certified valuation on the items to provide a judge. Also, I would tell him he can avoid legal action if he pays you back within, 30 days maybe? You get your money and he won't get a judgment. I really don't blame the friend for refusing to pay $6,000 without any proof of value. OP, please get the broken stuff evaluated before pushing this further. If it were me, I'd be offering to pay for it immediately, but not without an evaluation. Not Dayhall. He continued when you told him no. Any antique store would have a policy of, you broke it, you bought it. Based on your post, I am left to assume that you are a responsible antique and collectible owner, so all items are insured. He owes you the deductible in your insurance claim. If he refuses to cover the deductible, you have no option but to sue him for that value. Info. Opie, is your room organized? You're a collector, so I'm assuming your cards should be filed, and vases and cabinets are in protective packaging. You say that he tripped as he entered. If your baseball cards were in the box in the doorway or piled on the floor, it's likely to be classed as accidental damage, and it might be an insurance claim for you. Or not a claim at all, rather than a claim against him. Basically, if it's investigated and it deemed a hoarding situation rather than a managed collection, then you could end up finding yourself in a bit of a sticky situation, both with claims and also with fines from fire marshals, etc. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not quitting the guild with my husband? We have been married for 12 years, together for 15. Up until the events of the last year, I was not really big into video games or gaming. But with being locked up in the house and not being able to really do things that we normally did together, my husband got me into online gaming with him. Normally, my husband is a very quiet and reserved person. But when he games, it's like a switch flips and he just becomes a different person. My character is low level, so he does runs with me on a different low level character he has so we can play together. Last night, we did a dungeon with a group of people who were new to our guild or just made new characters, also low level like me. The healer was not good as he is still learning, and my husband lost his mind because we kept dying. Slamming his fists on his desk, yelling in Discord, the works. It was really annoying to me. I am the type who, when we die, says keep going until we get it. He is the type who gets enraged and yells. We have had multiple conversations about this. I have told him repeatedly that his attitude/behavior ruins the game for everyone, but he just says if people didn't suck, he wouldn't get so mad. Last night, I absolutely had it with his yelling and cursing. I play these games to relax and have a good time, and I find it irritating that we cannot have a single session without him acting like this. So I mentioned it to one of my online friends, who is also in our guild, and they agreed that my husband's behavior was problematic. Our GM messaged him and told him that he was getting complaints about him and basically said he was on thin ice, and if he kept it up, he would be kicked out. My husband basically told him that he didn't care and quit, and then demanded that I do the same. I told my husband that I was not going to quit, that his attitude and behavior are the reason people, including me, do not want to play with him, and that if he wants to continue this hobby together as a couple, he either needs to get therapy for his anger issues or we need to find a new game to play that will be less rage-inducing for him. He called me a traitor and is now saying that he doesn't want to play games with me anymore. Am I the a-hole for not quitting too? Not the a-hole. Sounds like your suggestion of therapy is a really good idea. Anger like that at a video game isn't normal or healthy. Edited to add. So I feel like I should say that getting angry at video games is part of the experience, sometimes a very deliberate choice from the designers. But the level of anger we are hearing about while someone is leveling an alternative character, as opposed to end game progression or elite PvP, makes the level of anger and the way it was expressed beyond what I would consider normal. Some of the comments here are great though, in terms of most rage-inducing experience in games. Mine is being in the water temple in Ocarina of Time for 6 hours. Easy to say that until you miss a 3-foot putt in Tiger Woods' '08 and you lost a $20 bet. And have to clean the bathroom because your roommate absolutely played out of his mind. Damn you, Drew. I'll never forgive you. You rat bastard. Not today, Hull. Your husband's behavior does nothing to help. Significant other is a raid leader, and I know he gets frustrated. But instead of screaming and banging his fists, he calmly asks for feedback and offers ideas for why something went badly and how that can be resolved. Because it is an effing video game, and you can razz your character. Your husband's attitude is awful, and he shouldn't care about being out when he thinks he's so much better than the rest of the guild. If this is WoW Classic, you're Alliance and want another friend, DM. This is how I feel. It's a game. It's fake. It has zero effect on real life, except for when he starts getting angry. If we die, we die, and then try again. I honestly do not care that much. Not today, Hull. GM was more than fair. Husband decided to rage quit. None of this should extend to you. He needs to sort out his anger issues. Games are supposed to be fun. Info. Just for my own curiosity, what role is your husband's character? I'm assuming it's either a tank or DPS? He plays a tank. I play a mage. His low-level character is a mage like mine. Am I the a-hole? Husband threw a barbecue party for his friends. I refused to help, and party was a disaster. Disclaimer, we are all vaccinated. So, my husband likes to invite his friends. Note, his friends. I'm not close with them. For barbecue parties. Prides himself on his barbecue skills. The thing is, I always end up doing everything. He buys and preps the meat and then grills and serves it, and collect praise for his barbecue skills. I have to buy drinks, get out enough dishes, clean up the patio/deck. Non-native speaker, I don't know which one to use. I prepare the sides and veggies. I refill the drinks and take away dishes. We don't use paper plates or plastic cups since I find it wasteful. So as to keep the main table tidy. It's just non-stop work for me. He just told me last week that he invited his friends for Saturday. So yesterday, just announced it, didn't ask me. I said, well, okay, do I know anyone? Nope. Those are his workmates, and they won't be bringing their spouses. My husband called it a guy's night. I said, okay then, guy's night. Well, enjoy yourselves. I will be in my craft room working on some of my projects and drinking wine. He said we'll handle it. Spoiler alert, he did not handle it. He got a meat all right, but just ignored any other preparation. I was just so sick and tired of being taken for granted. He never asks me for help, I just do stuff. So I didn't do anything. The patio was a mess, the upholstery of the garden furniture was all messy from our dogs, the table wasn't wiped down, there was stuff lying all around. His friends arrived. I welcomed them, and then excused myself to my crafts room, put some music on, and worked. Cue the messages. He started asking for stuff, like where are the plates? We only keep a small set in the kitchen, the rest is in the basement. Where are the cups? Why isn't the beer chilled? Where is the non-alcoholic beer? Did I not buy it? Where are the sides? I just replied that he said he would handle it all himself. This is also where I feel I might have been the a-hole. It would have taken me just minutes to at least tell him where the stuff is. I checked on the guys a few hours later, and it was a disaster. Table all cluttered. They ordered some takeout asides. There weren't enough dishes and silverware. Someone had to go drive for drinks. On Sunday, today, he was all grumpy and actually told me that he is disappointed that I didn't pull my weight, and that I made our family look sloppy and bad. I told him that I'm not his little housewife and that he's a big guy, and if he embarrassed himself in front of his workmates, that's all on him. And that I'm glad that he can see at least a tiny bit of work that I do around the house. He got upset and went for a run to let off some steam. Oh, and the patio is full of dishes. He didn't even clean the grill. I'm not touching anything. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. In fact, you're so not a-hole that you are my hero. Your husband can kick rocks. If he wants to look at a person who failed, he just needs to look at himself in the mirror. Right? I lost it at told me that he is disappointed that I didn't pull my weight. He clearly hasn't been pulling his weight for a while now, if he doesn't even know where his own dishes are stored. I would have said, actually, I've been pulling my weight and yours for years. This is the first time I've made you pull your own, and this is how you act? I've created an entitled monster and this stops now. I'm so mad for Opie. Posts like these always get to me. I was Opie for so many years. Married an entitled mama's boy and did nearly all of the unpaid work in the relationship, while also working a demanding career and pulling home more money. As a result, my immune system crashed and I got deadly sick. That's when he divorced me because we grew apart. Not a hole. Is he always this entitled? Rethink your entire relationship dynamic if he is, and start demanding for the kind of treatment you deserve. I suppose I caused this myself. I am tidy and he is not. So during the course of the day, he leaves his coffee cup wherever he ends up being when he finishes it. He leaves clothes on kitchen chairs, just puts stuff wherever. And as I go through the house, I just grab stuff, put it into its place. My craft room is organized. His work shed is like a bomb went off there. But I don't care, it's his place. So most likely he just got used to the fact that I clean up after him without being prompted. It's not some insane mess. He sometimes doesn't even see it or realize it, like how he shouldn't leave his nice clear shirt in the kitchen where it might absorb the smells. He doesn't mind or see the mess. It's not your fault he's lazy, unless you carry the huge mental load of running a clean house all by yourself. He needs to start pulling his weight, and you need to stop blaming yourself and start asserting the need for him to step up his game. Edit/update. Thank you for the comments. This made me realize I am at fault as well, for tolerating this for so long. I went out to clear my head. My husband came back from his run and is pointedly not speaking to me, and to reconsider many things in our marriage. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for walking off in the middle of dinner? My friend was trying to set me, 27 male, up with one of her friends. Only reason I said yes was because she kept pushing us to go out and telling me she thinks we'd be a cute couple. So whatever, I gave in, and we agreed to meet at this restaurant. Her choice, by the way. It was this Mexican restaurant and I've been there before. They make some really good enchiladas. The tables are spaced out because of COVID and obviously not a lot of seats available for people who want to eat, so we spent like 15 minutes waiting to get a table. This girl was already getting impatient. And literally, the second we get a table, she's talking crap to the waitress who came to ask us what we want to drink. About how they shouldn't be open if they're not able to cater to their customers. She was just being super rude to this lady for absolutely no reason. Funny thing was, she's being totally nice to me. First gave her crap because she brought ice in her drink, but never asked for it to have no ice, which I pointed out to her but she didn't believe me because she knows she asked for no ice. Then again, got mad because there wasn't any burgers on the menu. It's a Mexican restaurant. I told her if she wanted burgers, we could have gone to a place that serves burgers. But she claimed this place did serve burgers, because she's been here before. Again, starts giving the waitress a hard time, and I tried hard not to let it get to me, up until she called the waitress a freaking dum-dum and to do her job. At that point, I apologized to the waitress, then told the girl we're done here. I took out my wallet to pay for the drinks, also a tip for the waitress, and told her I'm not putting up with her crap anymore. This girl was calling for me, but I walked out the restaurant and drove off. She came in a separate car, by the way, so not like she was left stranded. My phone was blowing up. All of the messages from this girl were pretty much called her worst date and other names too. Then my friend was giving me a hard time because now she's embarrassed to be around this girl, knowing that I just walked off during our dinner. And she says I could have handled that better than acting like a complete jackass if I didn't like the way she was acting. At least could have been a gentleman and made it through the meal instead of humiliating her. I don't know, that stuff really bothers me. My mom was a waitress and I'd be at her work all the time after school until her shift ended. Saw the way customers treated her sometimes, so I guess it was personal for me seeing how this girl was being. Not sure if I let my emotions get the best of me and if I was in fact an a-hole the way I reacted. Definitely not an a-hole. A very big not an a-hole. That girl, she's most definitely not a woman with how childish she was acting, was disgusting and rude. That girl is not entitled to have you save her face, especially if she was being a big a-hole. You should be proud that you walked away and that you didn't put up with that behavior. It expressly shows her that it's wrong, and it shows the waiter that someone has her back against people like that. I'm seconding this comment big time. I hope he should be proud of his actions. Not a-hole, and well done. You weren't an a-hole. You didn't cuss anyone out. I think you made the most mature decision you could have. Not the a-hole. I guess that I just got up and left her there. Made me seem like an a-hole. Especially since other people were around, so that's why I wasn't sure if I had the best reaction. Thanks. Yeah, no. She made herself look like an A. Big time. She also made a chunk of your service night miserable, but I think your reaction probably made it a bit better. Your actions were standing up for her, even if you didn't phrase it that way. You treated her with respect and dignity, unlike your date had. Also, you for sure saved yourself from a future further nightmare. Props to you for noping the heck out of there. Not a-hole. How people treat servers, bar staff, and retail workers says a lot about people. You dodged a bullet. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for getting upset at my wife for always telling me she doesn't have money? I, 32 male, have supported my wife, 32 female, and daughters since our daughter was born. Recently, my wife got a job and gets paid pretty well. Not as much as me, but pretty well. I only ask her to pay for childcare. I pay the rest. Both cars, insurance, cell phones, internet, rent, utilities, groceries. She constantly tells me that she only has so much money in her account and rarely pays for stuff when we go do things. She also hides her account balance from me, while having full access to my account, which is a joint account. We constantly bicker about her lack of willingness to pay for stuff because she doesn't have money. She will not hesitate to use my money for stuff because she says I have all the money. Today, she said she only had a few dollars to get some food on the way home. She asked me if I wanted some food, and I said, well, it sounds like you don't have enough money. Her response was that she will just use my card to pay for the food. I once again get aggravated that she will not ever use her money for us, but doesn't hesitate to use mine. Am I the a-hole for being aggravated at my wife for hoarding her money while freely using mine while I pay for the majority of the bills? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This is a red flag. She's either terrible with money or is hoarding it for something. I don't understand when married couples don't just share their money. My husband and I have separate accounts. I pay the rent, utilities, and my student loans when paying them was still a thing. He pays for everything else. We have a joint account, but that's used more as a dumping place for big windfalls like the stimulus checks and our tax refunds. It's how we split the bills when we were dating, and it still works for us. But we also communicate with each other and don't try hiding our money. I have to chime in. My husband and I have always had separate bank accounts. We've been married 23 years now. We've never had a problem with it, and it has never seemed odd to us. It's just how it works for us. It's not a matter of trust at all. We split bills just as you described. He has certain ones. He's responsible for some. I'm responsible for others. If one of us falls a little short, we help each other. But we definitely don't keep track or a tally sheet. It is up to the couple to decide what works best for them as a team. Not the a-hole. Now that you're both working, it's time to combine your finances for the sake of your daughter. She also hides her account balance from me while having full access to my account, which is a joint account. This is very alarming. It is shady as hell that your wife is hiding her balance from you, refusing to discuss her savings and insisting that you continue to pay everything as if you're still the sole breadwinner. My mate had this issue. One day his wife just transferred half the value of the house and asked him to leave. She'd been having an affair for 10 years and he was oblivious. Not the a-hole for being frustrated about this, but I think you need to have a grown-up conversation with your wife about it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to get rid of my train collection in my own apartment? I started collecting trains while in middle school. My dad was a conductor for the MTA and used to have his own collection/setup. He got very ill when I was around 13 from cancer and ultimately passed away. I kept our passion of trains alive so that I can always remember him. Last May, after graduating college, I moved into my own apartment. My girlfriend of 3 years helped me with this, and she knows of my train collection. I had it in my bedroom at home too. She always joked that I would need to get rid of it, but I never took her seriously. Fast forward to yesterday, she was talking about moving in with me once she graduated college. I was fine with this, but now she said I must get rid of my train collection. She said it was juvenile to collect trains and that I can collect something more mature, such as old vinyls or coins. I really do not want to get rid of my train collection though. I guess it can be kind of juvenile, and I do not even have many trains placed all over. Just one shelf dedicated to them with a picture of my dad and I while he was in his uniform at work. Now, she's upset and saying I am prioritizing my toys over her and went home. Am I the a-hole here? Should I just pack them away for her? Choose someone else and keep the trains. If the connection to your deceased dad doesn't move her to tolerate your collection, she's complete trash. Not the a-hole. Agreed. That is so lovely how he keeps his dad's memory alive like that. It is. But even without the dad's memory attached to it, when two people move in together, they need to compromise, including decorations, because both of them need to feel at home. What's the point if only one person decorates the apartment without the other one's input? Does the girlfriend want her partner to ditch all of his interests too? Not the a-hole. Lots of warning signs here. Why would she insist on getting rid of your trains considering the sentimental value? Consider if you have a future with someone who take aim at something clearly important to you whilst telling you what you're allowed to collect. Not the a-hole. This is a hobby that you not only enjoy, but it has ties to your father. Those are two very important things. If your girlfriend has a problem with that, she can find somewhere else to live. It isn't like this was a surprise collection. Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister stranded at a restaurant after she brought my dad? I, 30 male, have a complicated history with my dad. I'll call him Jake. I haven't seen him in over 11 years. When I was 13, the biggest family secret came out that ended my parents' marriage and my relationship with him. All thanks to my mom who cheated, got pregnant, and passed me off as his. We all found out, and like a switch went off, Jake wanted nothing to do with me like at all. They got divorced. My older sister was his, so he only fought for custody of her. He was horrible to me when this first came out. Like as if it was my fault. And for a long time, I did think that. In fact, it took years of therapy to stop feeling like it was all my fault. For a long time after it came out, I did everything to be in Jake's life like he was in my sister's. I never held back telling me looking at me makes him sick, and it was never my dad. Telling this to a 14-year-old. My last attempt was when I was around 18. By then, Jake had gotten remarried. His new wife was pregnant, and I convinced my sister to bring me to the baby shower hoping to talk to him. Big mistake. He flipped on me outside, and it was the most humiliating and hurtful moment of my life. Jake told me to go find my real dad and stop bothering him. That was it for me, and we didn't speak again. Now I get it. He was cheated on, he was hurt, and I'm a reminder of the biggest betrayal of his life. The affair kid. But I was also human with feelings. Took time, but I forgot about him with lots of therapy. Still close with my sister, but she keeps her relationship with him separate from ours. Except for now. He got sick from COVID last year, and I guess that was his come to Jesus moment. Now he's suddenly interested. But for me, the damage is done, and I've turned that chapter in my life. Have my wife and family. A father-in-law who's loved me and treated me like his own for years. So I've denied seeing him. But because now he wants to, my sister keeps trying to set it up. Earlier this week, she tried to surprise me with him at the restaurant where we were having lunch. I got up and left without saying anything to him. I was caught off guard, so the only thing going on in my mind is, I gotta get out. My sister came with me, so that means I was her ride and just left her there. And my sister's really mad about me leaving. His wife dropped him off, and it was gonna be a while for her to come back since she had appointments. But the point is, they ended up being there way longer than expected. On top of that, she got to work late since the plan was for me to drive her back after reading. Not sure if she's actually mad that I left her, or that I didn't stay to eat with Jake. But yeah, she does think I was an a-hole for taking off like that. Not totally sure if I was, since I've made it clear we are done, but at the same time I did leave her without a ride. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What your sister did was wrong. She should not have sprung him on you after all the trauma he had caused. If she had told you he was coming and you had agreed, then you would have been the a-hole. But you didn't know he was going to be there. That wasn't the plan. And she did not ask if you were comfortable with it. She honestly should have expected you were going to be overwhelmed. I'm sorry you went through that. And I'm glad to hear you have a loving family. She knows I wouldn't have gone at all, so that's why she didn't tell me. It was painful as hell, believe me. I'm just grateful to have found a wonderful family with my wife. Not the a-hole. Your sister is the a-hole here. She's the one you had a present-day ongoing relationship with, and she betrayed your trust. Don't let her talk you into thinking you owed her a ride after the stunt she pulled. As they say, play stupid games, etc., etc. You didn't leave them stranded on the side of the road during a thunderstorm. You left them in a nice restaurant after you were ambushed. They had plenty of time to have a nice meal while waiting for an Uber or something. OP, you panicked and left. You had to have years of therapy to get to a more comfortable place, and good for you for doing the work and marrying well. Your dad may have had a come-to-Jesus moment, but you, OP, you don't have to care. Not a day-hole. Not a day-hole. Proverbial stupid game / prizes moment for your sister. You may want to rethink your relationship with your sister, since she appears to have picked up a lot more of her father's personality and attitudes than you may have previously known. Her reaction was to deflect and blame you for the situation, rather than apologize. A rather telling reflex. You didn't leave her stranded. She tried to manipulate you for her father's sake, not yours. She was late for work because she assumed that you would be easily manipulated into staying, that you were as desperate as you were when you were a teen to have a relationship. Also, her real motive was probably even more selfish. She wanted to be the hero and peacemaker between you and her father, so she could tell everyone how she finally mended the relationship and take social media credit for attention. You owe her father nothing, including an opportunity to apologize or explain. You don't owe him anything. Walking away was not an a-hole move. It was the most polite and reasonable thing you could have done. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my homeless sister a place to stay? My sister's husband left her for someone else. The house they lived in was inherited by him years before she met him, and there was never any mortgage on it. In our jurisdiction, this means it isn't part of the marital property or the divorce process, so she isn't entitled to the house or any of the equity in the divorce. Her husband was able to get a court order to evict her from the homes, and she was lawfully evicted. She will get half of their savings account, but that will all go to her legal fees apparently. She isn't eligible for alimony, he isn't rich, and it's not a factor. I haven't had contact with my sister since 2016. She was the one who cut off contact. She got contact because my husband is a police officer. She doesn't like the police. She's never contacted or spoken to my husband even once. She hated that I was dating a police officer, and when he proposed, she said if I married him, she would never speak to me again. There was no other reason for her not to like him besides his job, but she is the type that posts quotes and statements on social media, but she never does any activism beyond that. That was the last time I saw or heard from her, until she recently showed up at my house asking to stay because her husband left her and had her evicted. Our parents can't take her in because they just moved into a retirement condo community. Only residents can live there, and you have to be over 50. They aren't struggling, but they can't afford to help her after their own rent / fees / bills. When she cut me off, my parents said I should be able to marry whoever I want, but at the same time, I should be sensitive to why my sister is upset and see her point of view. I have no other relatives besides my parents and sister, and I don't really visit my parents, and I talk to them on the phone about once a month. I am in an industry where I can't work from home, and where things are still closed because of the pandemic. I have been laid off from my job until things reopen. The business is not gone and the industry will be back, but I've been unemployed since last March. I have done some freelancing, but my husband is the breadwinner right now. My sister, who hates my husband even though she's never had contact with him, came to my house after her eviction wanting to stay with us. She said my husband makes enough that we can't afford to have her stay rent-free and support her, and have her eat our food, use our internet, etc., and that we owe it to her. I can't believe her nerve, and I told her no, and said if she comes back, I'll call the police on her for trespassing. She called me an a-hole and a terrible sibling, and she wouldn't stop calling or texting me until I blocked her. She is staying at a shelter or outside if there are no beds available now. Am I really being too hard on her? Am I the a-hole and a bad sibling for refusing to take her in when she is homeless? Not the a-hole. Absolutely do not give in to this. Evictions take time as do divorce settlements. She knew this was happening and made no plans, got no job, and clearly made bad decisions. I don't believe for 1 second she agreed to a settlement that was only enough to pay legal fees. She spent all her money, or doesn't want to, wasted months she could have been getting employment at her own place, with the intention to leech off of someone she clearly doesn't even like. Ignore her. Just to provide clarity, they are not divorced yet. Legally separated and the divorce will be finalized soon, but it has not happened yet. Her insistence that you owe her despite her continued refusal to apologize makes you not the a-hole. She can deal with the consequences of her own actions in alienating you. Right there. Ignoring that her sister declined to speak to Opie over the spouse being a cop that she has never in her life met, she's still the a-hole. As soon as she said that she was owed anything, it's entirely appropriate to tell her to screw herself while she waits for a bed. I help people when I can because I feel like it's the right thing to do. But when someone feels entitled to my aid without treating me with even the most basic of common courtesies, I'm not interested. Not a-hole. She cut off contact and killed the relationship, not you. She can't now expect you to live off the guy she cut you out over. That's not how life works. She now knows why you don't burn bridges you may have to cross later. You don't owe her anything, Opie. Not a-hole. You owe her nothing. Also, based on her behavior, if you let her stay, you might not be able to kick her out without getting your own court order to evict her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for providing statement to police after brother stole from me? Backstory. My brother, 30 male, has been struggling with addiction since he was 15 years old. He still lives at home with my father. Him and I, 33 male, have always had a shaky relationship. My other two brothers and my mom want nothing to do with him. I placed an order paid in full on April 20 at Home Depot. On April 23, I was arrested. I was released on June 21. I went to Home Depot on June 22 for my order, and they informed me that my order was released to my younger brother on May 27. She even called my brother right in front of me, and I heard him confirm that he did pick it up. Luckily, I had recorded a majority of the convo he just had with a rep, so there was no denying it. He says he already sold the product. I told him I wanted my money. He agreed and said on Friday he would pay me. Friday comes and he says he's not going to give it to me anymore. That it's not his fault that Home Depot gave it to him. I told him that he had until Monday to give me the money, and he didn't say anything else. On Wednesday, I filed a chargeback with my bank who said that they would not approve the chargeback unless a police report was filed, and I gave a statement. I told them I would think about it and get back to them. Later in the day, Home Depot calls me and says they want to avoid a chargeback, and they would refund me my money under the same circumstances the bank was asking. A few hours later, I get a call from a detective asking me for a statement, so I cooperated. The detective let me know that she first contacted my brother to give him the opportunity to just repay the money, but he refused to even give a statement. Now my dad is telling me that I am the a-hole for cooperating, that I know how it is to be in jail, and why would I want to send my little brother to such a place? I see it this way. I didn't ask him to steal my product. I just want my money back. And since he refused to give it to me, I simply did what I needed to do to protect my interests. Shortly after giving my statement, Home Depot notified me that my refund had been issued. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole for reporting to police, as it seems the only way to get your much-needed cash expediently, but I can't help but think there are about 1,000 things being left unsaid here. Yes, you're correct. There's a ton more to the story. I try to hit all of the most relevant stuff though. He's been to rehab 4 to 5 times, but has always checked himself out after a few weeks. He's never been forced to make a lifestyle change because my dad is the biggest enabler on earth and provides my brother with a home, food, and most importantly, a safe and comfortable place to get and be high. All for free, of course. Info. Why did Home Depot give your stuff to your brother? I feel like most places would have put your stuff back on the shelves and refunded you after 2 weeks. Also, they are only supposed to release the items to you or someone who you specifically designate as an alternate. Well, both my brother and I are sellers on Amazon. I can only speak for myself. I spend $20,000+ a month on various products from Home Depot that I resell, and I think my brother does somewhere around the same. We do not work together, nor do we sell any of the same products. However, anytime either one of us places a new order, 95% of the time the order is placed through the same Pro Extra Desk representative. I've been working with her for about 8 years now, and my brother maybe 4 years, and have built a great rapport with her. My brother took advantage of their relationship and her trust. He told her I had been arrested and said that I had called him asking him to help me out and pick up my product and fulfill my orders, which could not be further from the truth. It kind of was Home Depot's mistake, but I understand why they released the order to him. Not Dayhall. He committed a crime and should be punished for it. He's probably stolen hundreds of times before and thought that because you are family, you'd let him get away with it. Good on you for following through. Yes, thank you. He's literally stolen from me at least 10 times in the past 5 years. It even broke into my place last year. Took several and broke several other things. All because he gets high and paranoid. I've never done anything about it before because it's always been stuff worth no more than a couple $100. I'm sure he thought he could get away with it this time too. But I'm not willing to let several $1,000s go. I mean, he could have just asked for it, and I would have very willingly give it to him. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take care of my boyfriend's brother? My boyfriend and I have been together for just over a year. 4 months into our relationship, he brought me to meet his mom and brother who is autistic. He told me in advance about his brother, but I assumed he would be like my ex who was a little social awkward but lived a normal life. I was shocked when I met him, as it seemed he was at a 10-year-old's mental development. He had a meltdown during dinner, and I could see how stressed his mom was at having to deal with us. We talked after we drove back, and he told me his mom was planning on sending him to a group home, as she is getting older and would soon be no longer able to take care of him. I thought nothing more about this. But last week, his mom had a health scare, and she asked him to take his brother. Both his parents are in poor health at this point, so likely this will be semi-permanent. He told me the plan had changed, and he would have to take his brother in. I'm not sure why, because everyone is getting shots and the numbers are down, but he explained there's currently an insane 2-year waiting list for an entry to a group home. He wants me to take care of his brother as he works 12 hours a day out of the house. I work from home permanently, but I know my work would be disrupted if his brother had a meltdown. So I moved back to my old place with my roommates, as I had just moved out for 3 months and they hadn't found a new roommate yet. My boyfriend is mad because now he has no way of working and taking care of his brother and thinks I'm being sympathetic to his problems. But I don't want to take care of him, especially when it would affect my work. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to care for my boyfriend's brother? Not the a-hole. I'm sympathetic to the fact that your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother in short notice. But deciding, without any discussion, that you are going to watch him 12 hours a day is ridiculous. If it was an hour here and there, I would go you're the a-hole because sometimes you just have to bite a bullet. But 60 to 80 hours a week? No, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If he wants to take in his brother, I admire him for it. However, it sounds like he was about to lay 100% of the responsibility on you. It is not your responsibility. You cannot work from home and take care of his brother too. It's not realistic, and most jobs wouldn't allow it. A lot of work-from-home jobs won't allow you to even have kids at home and require proof of outside daycare to ensure there are no interruptions on the time they are paying you for. Your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother on his own. Not the a-hole. It's annoying me that so many comments are she's not trying to do the job, when the absolute only correct response is, it's totally inappropriate and unacceptable for a man to expect his girlfriend to take over the care of a relative. We don't have to say because of her job or because she's not trained, but because the mere fact of it is insane. Edit. For the confused, he didn't ask. He told OP that he expected her to care for the brother. That's the deal breaker.